By virtue of the CITN members' rules and regulation, Section 2, Note 11, no member of the institute shall practice as a chartered tax practitioner unless he or she has applied for and has been granted license to practice by council and has complied with Rule 12.
You have to be certified to be able to practice tax in Nigeria, and so getting this now another milestone in my career, in my profession.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, the only professional body statutorily empowered by law to regulate tax practice and administration in Nigeria, once again demonstrated its commitment to professionalism, ethical standards, and excellence with the official issuance of practicing licenses, seals, and stamps to qualified tax professionals. The event marked another significant milestone in the Institute's effort to strengthen tax practice and support the ongoing transformation of Nigeria's tax ecosystem. Welcoming the would-be tax practitioners to the event was the Chairman Membership and Professional Conduct Committee of the CITN, Dr. Yemi Sani, who congratulated the would-be practitioners and emphasized the importance of integrity, competence, and ethical conduct in the discharge of their professional responsibilities.
Today marks a significant milestone, not only in the professional journey of the license recipient, but also in the continuous advancement of the tax profession in Nigeria. This occasion symbolizes the transition from professional qualification to professional practice, and from possessing knowledge to assuming responsibility for the stewardship of public trust. The practice license being presented today is far more than a certificate. It is a symbol of competence, integrity, accountability, and commitment to the highest standards of professional conduct. It confers not only privileges, but also significant obligations. Every license holder becomes an ambassador of the Institute and a custodian of the ethical values upon which our profession is built. However, let me respectfully remind you that today is not the destination. It is the beginning of a greater journey. The license you receive today must inspire you to pursue excellence, continuous learning, professional discipline, and exemplary service to clients, the Institute, and the nation at large. In an era characterized by rapid technological transformation, evolving tax laws, as we have seen in the past year, increasing voluntary scrutiny, and heightened stakeholder expectations, the role of tax practitioner has become more important than ever before. As members of this noble profession, we must continually demonstrate professionalism, independence, objectivity, confidentiality, and unwavering ethical conduct. The credibility of our profession depends not merely on technical competence, but also on integrity.
Still on what is expected of the new licensees as well as those accredited before them, Mr. Kilian Kanoba, Senior Partner Creston Pedabo, in his presentation had this to say.
How to manage a practice in the evolving landscape that we are in Nigeria. And I think we are in an environment that has truly evolved. The entire regulatory environment has suddenly changed. Okay, apart from the regulatory environment changing, we also now are in a new technological environment. And unless you are able to blend into this new environment, both from a regulatory standpoint as well as the technological standpoint, you will struggle as a practitioner in this era. So my duty here really will be to tell you what you already know, tell you what you already have heard, but to tell it to you so that you cannot deny the fact that you have heard it. That is just what I'm here to do. So there's nothing really new you are going to hear today. We understand the laws, we know what the laws are, but how do the laws affect you as a practitioner? And the reason why is you are a different person from any other member of CITN now is that you do not just know the law for knowing the law's sake, but you know the law from the point of view of taking responsibility. Because being a practitioner is different from just being a member of the institute. As a member of the institute, you could be working under people, but now you now have the license, the practicing license of the institute, and it makes you additionally responsible for the provisions of the law. And why is that? Now, like Mr. President said in his opening remarks, practitioners are now going to be regulated. Not everybody can file returns again, even though we are still waiting for all the guidelines and regulations. But truly, now you are going to have registered tax practitioners who are also referred to as registered tax agents that are accredited by the tax authority. And unless you are accredited, you cannot represent a client before the tax office. So, and what does that mean? That means that you now take responsibility. You can actually sign a tax return on behalf of your clients. So, do you sign something that you do not know? Or are we willing to sign something that you know is fraudulent? Okay, so this is something that is very important for us as practitioners. It's something that is in the law, but it concerns us. It concerns us not just because we want to earn money, but we want to earn money and still be able to sleep with our two eyes closed. So your signature now becomes an attestation. And like the lawyers will say, you are now an important stakeholder in the temple of taxation. Lawyers will talk about the temple of justice. But for us now, in the temple of taxation, it's now a social responsibility that you have taken. Now, you represent your clients. So, before the tax authority, without a license, you cannot. Because you are representing your clients, you are also carrying this future existence and success and sustainability of your client's business on your shoulder. So you need to be able to understand the law from the point of being able to represent your client with all sense of responsibility and be able to give advice that you can be held accountable for. You are not accountable. So if you participate in filing a fraudulent return, you know, before now you will say, I'm just acting on the instruction of my client. But right now, you are acting on the instruction of your client from the point of knowledge. So if you partake in the filing of a fraudulent return, you can actually be forced to pay a monetary fine, or if you are prosecuted and you are found guilty, you can actually go to prison. Whether or not you prepared the the financial statement. The fact that you participated in filing what you know to be fraudulent can actually send you to jail under the new rules.
Mr. Kanoba's paper was discussed by Mr. Bolaji Aliyu, partner Ascension Consulting Services, and Mr. Alatishe Joseph, associate director, Deloitte and Touche. The full paper of Mr. Kanoba and all that transpired at the technical session will come to you in a subsequent episode of Tax Matters. Earlier in his opening remarks, the 17th president highlighted the rapidly evolving nature of tax administration, particularly in the light of ongoing fiscal reforms, technological advancements, and emerging regulatory frameworks.
I want to especially congratulate each and every one of you who have met the rigorous requirements prescribed by the Council for the issuance of a practicing license. Today's event holds deeper significance for the Institute. It symbolizes the high value that the Council places on professionalism, competence, and integrity in the practice of taxation in Nigeria. It demonstrates the Institute's commitment to ensuring that taxation as a multidisciplinary and specialized profession is practiced by only individuals who are properly trained and certified. By the end of this ceremony, you will all be formally inducted into the distinguished roll call of licensed tax practitioners of the Institute and duly authorized to practice taxation as a regulated profession in Nigeria. However, with this privilege comes a weighty responsibility. Council expects that in the conduct of your practice, you will be guided at all times by the provisions of the Institute Charter, the professional rules and practice guidelines, PRPG, and the Statement of Taxation Standard, Statement 1 to 9. These instruments should be your professional compass at all times. In addition, you are expected to demonstrate full compliance with the extant tax laws and relevant regulations issued by the relevant constituted authorities, that is, Office of the Tax Board, Joint Revenue Board, as well as relevant tax authorities. You must also hold in the highest esteem the core values of the Institute, now clearly articulated as service, teamwork, excellence, and professionalism, in a short form, STEP. These values must not only define how you practice, but also how you engage taxpayers, businesses, public institutions, and society at large.
The president highlighted the rapidly evolving nature of tax administration, particularly in light of ongoing fiscal reforms, technological advancements, and emerging regulatory frameworks.
Distinguished colleagues, this ceremony is taking place at a defining moment in Nigerian fiscal history. The new tax reforms have strategically and ethically elevated the role of tax professionals. Section 33(1) of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025 provides that a taxpayer may either represent itself or be represented by a tax agent accredited by the relevant tax authority. Section 147 then defines a tax agent as any person acknowledged and duly certified by a professional body in Nigeria to represent the taxable person. This aligns directly with the Institute's mandate under the Enabling Act. Accordingly, as CITN licensed practitioners, you are expected to remain committed to the continuous professional development. Participation in the Institute training programs is not optional. it is mandatory for all practitioners and members. The landscape is evolving rapidly, and your technical competence must remain current, relevant, and responsive to emerging fiscal realities. In addition, the Institute has intensified engagement with strategic government institutions to ensure that qualified tax professionals are considered as tax agents and placed in relevant agencies. This critical to strengthening revenue administration, curbing leakages, and surpassing government in achieving its fiscal objectives and value-added service delivery to the general public.
And this charge.
Distinguished practitioners, from today onwards, your conduct will reflect not only on your individual practice, but on the Institute and the profession as a whole. I therefore urge you to uphold the highest standard of ethics, behavior, technical competence, and professionalism at all times. The Institute will not hesitate to apply disciplinary measures where cases of misconduct are reported or established. Our investigation panel and disciplinary tribunal remain vigilant and empowered to protect the integrity of the profession at all times.
High point of the event was a formal presentation of the qualified licensed tax practitioners who had successfully fulfilled all statutory and professional requirements prescribed by the Institute for the issuance of practicing licenses to the 17th president of the Institute. The presentation symbolized their readiness to assume the responsibilities and privileges associated with professional tax practice in Nigeria.
My President, I'd like to present to you 95 members. They have been thoroughly reviewed and their documentations have been found eligible, and I hereby present them to you, even for the award of the license to practice as chartered tax practitioners.
I do solemnly swear that I shall always comply with the provision of the Institute Charter, bear true allegiance of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, obey all rules and regulations of the Institute from time to time, comply with all the codes of ethics and standards required of licensed tax practitioners, and so help me God. Congratulations once again.
Following the oath-taking ceremony, the practitioners were officially issued their practicing license certificates, seals, and stamps. The issuance signifies the formal authorization of the recipients to engage in tax practice in accordance with the provisions of the Institute's regulations and professional standards. The seals and stamps serve as important instruments of professional authentication, reinforcing credibility and accountability in tax practice. The practitioners pledge to discharge their duties diligently, maintain confidentiality, uphold the reputation of the profession, and serve the public interest at all times. Let's hear from the newly licensed tax practitioners.
I just got my practicing license today, which is exciting. It's so, it has been a journey. It's so challenging and rewarding as well, because I've just got the reward. Because it entails continual development. You have to, because you have to follow the etiquette and you have to continue to learn more, to know about the profession, not just getting the certificate, not given to you, to anybody. You have to know what it takes. And considering also this tax reform, it requires that they need a practitioner. and now it has to be certified. I mean, you have to be certified to be able to practice tax in Nigeria. And so getting this now another milestone in my career, in my profession.
It's elating. I'm happy. At least it made me a member now, so I can practice without any fear that someone is coming to harass me.
I feel so happy. I'm so happy being a member and being obtaining my pricing license. I'm so elated, so happy. So I see it as a good opportunity to do more for the country. Yes.
I retired from Federal Revenue as a director of Oil and Gas Department. So it is a thing of joy for me to get a certificate to practice tax as a tax practitioner. The certificate allows me officially now to practice as a tax practitioner. I've worked with FRA for 30 years, and instead of me staying back at home, retiring home, I can now engage, assist my client, get a client, assist them, and put what I've gained in public sector into a practice sector. I have a public experience, so I'm now going to the world to put it back what I've gained from the FRS and assist, make sure that our taxpayers pay tax correctly and adequately. But there are a lot of opportunities, especially with the new tax law, which simplify the tax system, and written in a clear language for everybody to understand. There's no ambiguity. And the new tax law repeat the old tax that have been in the system for some years. So the new tax law is actually implementable, which enhance the business, it gives the business environment. So it's easier for people to comply with the new tax law. So we are going to guide our clients for them to comply optimally, and it will generate a lot of revenue to the nation.
And from the Chairman, Membership and Professional Conduct Committee.
What it means for the Institute is that the Institute is helping the country to bring in people who have been certified, who have been vetted, that in terms of professional competence, in terms of integrity, in terms of providing tax solutions to businesses, SMEs, individuals and corporate organizations in Nigeria. And there are people who can advance tax policies by giving ideas, by giving insights as a result of their interactions with taxpayers and the public. The fact that we have brought additional 95 people into to that space, of course, will help this particular cause.
The 17th president reiterated the essence of the issuance of practicing licenses to qualified members of the institute.
The significance are many. One is to equip practitioners with all the necessary things they need to know to discharge their duty veritably well. Well, it is also important for them to ensure that they guide taxpayers properly in compliance, to ensure that when they are serving their clients, they guide them accurately, especially in terms of ethics and in terms of value additions, to them. And also they owe a duty too to the society and to government to ensure that the right attitude, the right professional diligence is exercised in the day-to-day of their activities. So today is merely to give them their certificate and license to practice as a chartered tax practitioner.
What is expected of the new licensees?
Yes, the expectation is that they need to approach their duty with a lot of tact, with a lot of diligence, a lot of care, and ensure that they act ethically and that they do not aid or abet tax evasion, that they need to encourage their clients, taxpayers, to be tax compliant.
The issuance of practicing licenses, seals and stamps by the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria represents more than a ceremonial event. It is a reaffirmation of the Institute's unwavering commitment to professionalism, ethical conduct and excellence in tax practice. As Nigeria's tax ecosystem continues to evolve, the newly licensed practitioners are expected to serve as ethical professionals, trusted advisors, and champions of compliance, contributing significantly to the growth of the tax profession and the nation's economic development. Congratulations to all the newly licensed tax practitioners as they join the distinguished community of professionals committed to advancing taxation and fiscal development in Nigeria. My name is Chamako Hauchi. Thank you for watching.